All right, so we are live now. There's a whole bunch of us today. We're still missing Tina Trimpert, so everybody keep her in your thoughts. She is still not feeling well. She's having a little bit of health issues, so she's still unable to make it. So until then, you can check out the Psychedelic Podcast and follow it. And if you're not already, go to Indie Pods United and follow there. So kind of giving her a little bit of a shout out, but this is a live show, Talk Creative to Me. I'm Maria Daniels. I host a podcast called Successfully Chaotic. And I'm going to go ahead and let Zach and Jeff introduce yourself. They're on the panel along with Tina. And then we have two guests today, Jess Paul and Maccabee Griffin.
Well, hey, my name is Zach Wiseman, self-imposed king of some nobodies. I have a bunch of podcasts. One is Silicon Angels. I do a podcast show. I'm also on the panel of the Psychedelic Podcast with Tina Marie and Robert. So thoughts to go out to them. But yeah, I'm all around. I do a bunch of weird stuff. You can find me anywhere.
Bunch of weird stuff.
Awesome. I am Jeff the Shark Perini from The Yo Show. Our website is www.theyoshow215.com. We are live every Wednesday night on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are variety, entertainment, talk. It gets a little out of hand. Gets a lot out of hand sometimes. And we drink some cocktails. We talk about the basics, have a lot of fun, and have great guests on. So make sure you check us out.
Awesome. So Jess, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then Maccabee, you can introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I am Jess Paul. Where do we start? I make fake food. I have a YouTube show. I'm an actor. That's why I live where I live in Los Angeles. Not this year, but all others. I mean, I am in Los Angeles. It just was completely useless to be here. And I love my life. I literally am living an actual dream. It literally looks like I'm in a different universe right now, and that's where I like to be. Mm-hmm.
It really does. You don't have kids, so that's probably. I'm not living a dream. I'm living like that's why. But
I can't wait to never have kids. I'm not lying.
Yeah, okay.
I'm there.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maccabee Griffin of Mac Griffin VO. I am a voiceover located in the Indianapolis area. I've been doing it for about a year and a half, and I've done quite a few things actually over internationally and starting locally actually. And just so everybody knows, if you were looking at Jess right now, she has 3 cupcakes beautifully designed on her head, and they are gorgeous. And I wish I wish they were real so I could actually eat one right now. And I am like Maria. I have 2 kids myself. I have a 4-year-old and I have a 14-year-old. And so I get to go through the joys of teenage life and toddler life at the same time. Yeah, it's fun. There's a reason why I have no hair and I have a gray beard. But no, it makes it a little bit more interesting because of the fact that both of my children are on the spectrum. So I've got one they're both really smart. And one, if you look at him and you talk to him, doesn't even look like he is, but I promise you he is. He actually was diagnosed with Asperger's. And my youngest one, because they've changed the way autism looks at about tested, he is actually it's now considered the autism spectrum disorder. So he's on the spectrum. And he just recently got diagnosed too. So we are in the verge of ABA therapy, which is fun.
All right. Well, as a mom of also an autistic child, I give you well wishes on that. It's definitely an interesting journey. Talk about creative. Mm-hmm. Autistic children are very creative. They are very creative. So yeah, so a little bit for the people that don't know what the show is, it is a newer show, but it is a show for creatives by creatives. So kind of our goal is to really allow creatives to be able to come on, share what they do, for us to kind of chat with them and get to know them a little bit, and to give them a platform to just showcase all the amazing things that creatives are able to produce, which is lots of amazing things. So I have a question for you, Jess. Did you make those cupcakes? I keep looking at the cupcakes.
Of course I did. Yeah. I'm my best salesman and model because I mean,
Oh, yeah.
where better to wear this stuff than on the podcast that my friends invite me to.
Oh yeah, and like I said, they look
pull it off.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank
they're
you.
Beautiful. I literally thought they were real. I was like, man, you're making me hungry,
I'm hungry.
right now. You're really making me hungry.
Rajiv says he's just dropping by to say hi. So
Hi, Rajiv.
Rajiv.
Hello.
So yeah. So let's go ahead and just talk to everybody about your food art, since we were all talking about your headband and how delicious it looks, and the fact that
Yes.
you're cute enough to pull it off. I think I would look
Mhm.
weird wearing that because I don't know, maybe you're very happy, and it's
You
not that
need
I'm
you
not
kind of
happy.
need the whole thematics to go with it. Like you can't, I don't know if you can just put these on and like call it a day, go to the grocery store. Though I do have customers that have told me, which honestly, this is the best part of the job. When I get those reviews and those messages that, like just the other week, Dixie, my customer Dixie, she told me, she thanked me for allowing her as an older woman to freely express herself with her new food art. She's one of my returning customers, which is something I didn't have in the beginning and never thought that I would have, because how many of these, because I mean, I don't just make cupcakes. I make all kinds of things. Why didn't I come prepared? I could always go get stuff if you want a little show and tell.
Just talk about it. We can use our imagination.
Oh yeah.
We've seen
Yeah.
food before. I love food.
You've seen the cutest food before. You've seen some of my stuff, and basically, it's mostly for Halloween costumes. I got into this because I'm originally I went to school for art. I have a degree in that shit, and when I did so, I went into an intermediate degree. That was what my degree was called, and in short, we learned a little bit. It was like a jack of all trades degree. And as we went through the program together, me and my 20 other colleagues, we got to splinter off and branch off into the things that we liked the most and wanted to focus on. And I actually, the last thing that I did for my thesis was I drew a comic book. So I thought that I'd be an illustrator for the rest of my life. And fake donuts, a donut crown, was actually something that my sister came up with as a joke. And I'm like, well, I can figure out how to do that, because I had a painting that was a donut and a cat, and they took off far past any of my illustrations. And then I figured out how to basically make anything with the materials that I use. And it's a huge part of my community and my YouTube channel for entertainment. And that's how I roll. Cinnamon roll.
Good. I like it. It's good. So how long does it take to make that? Like if I was, well, not me, because I could never make it, but if you sit down to make that, how long does it take you roughly to make it?
That's an interesting question, because what I would do is take like an entire batch of food and do one stage at a time. So what they look like, they come out of my mold as a piece of memory foam that's in your mattress, the same stuff. You can sleep on this stuff. It's called Pillow Soft, but I'm mixing it fresh and pumping it into this mold, and it takes the shape of anything. And so it's squishy.
Oh,
And yeah, it's very lightweight.
Yeah,
and so I have donut, I have everything. And so you paint that with fabric paint. I have multiple types of fabric paint, and you have this realistic, lightweight, throw it at the wall prop that's fun to wear. And of course, like a lot of people were selling, donuts, like they were knitting them and then selling them. And I'm like, well, what are you doing with that? When somebody buys that, it was the same thing with the wall art. The wall art that I was making didn't do as well, because I mean, how many functions do you really have for something that you put on your wall? Like, not many people are in desperate need of that, but for a Halloween costume that they want to execute, for a cosplay, for a photo shoot, for a film set or a theater production, that's where you add the practicality to art. And that's always what I've been about, is making something actually useful for the person that's buying it. Otherwise, you don't have as hot of a commodity.
That's awesome.
And I think awesome. Honestly, I think cosplayers are one of the most creative people in the world, and because they can literally make anything out of anything. And I think when I was looking at the cupcakes, I was thinking, man, there's got to be a lot of research when it comes to food involved, breaking it down, getting the right textures and the taste buds. Just making a
Not
picture
only
that just
that,
looks so
but
good.
every single food.
Mhm.
Listen, think about it this way, because I'm trying to actually build a business here with the fake food. I mean, it's only my secondary business too. Like, it's not even my main thing. Like, I want to be an
Why not?
actor and filmmaker, but this is what evolved out of my degree and my creativity as a side hustle that is, close to the main hustle. And think about all of the foods in the world. Then think about all the varieties of those specific
Mhm.
items. Then think about all the colors that you can make, say, just a single plain donut, the icing, like there's so much, and every single thing is different. Some things I mold from the real thing. Like, I have donuts that literally reflect, like, I actually got a donut from the bakery and I petrified it. I left it in my closet for about 12 weeks or something. And
That's
then I
horrible.
molded it to see
On
what would
purpose
happen.
or by accident?
Either way, that's horrible to happen to that donut, man. Come on, that's a
Actually,
waste
I was so
of
glad that
something
it happened
beautiful.
because I'm a huge donut fan in real life too. Like, I eat
Mhm.
real donuts as well as make them. But it was a mistake that they gave me a completely plain one. I usually get, my favorites are either and or both, French cruller and or a chocolate cake donut. And when I said a regular something, they didn't give me the cruller. Like, they misunderstood me and they gave me a plain one. And when I got home, like, damn, what am I doing with this one? This one's a boring donut. And so I just let it dry out. I don't even know if I needed to do that. I wanted it to be kind of hard so that I could actually mold it, because I mean, if you guys want to learn more about this stuff and see it in action, again, a lot of the stuff on my channel has to do with my food making process, because honestly, and this is why it ended up becoming so successful, is that, Etsy, where I mainly sell out of, is a gigantic world of sellers and crafters of every different kind. I've tried to sell a lot of different kinds, like flower crowns, like I said, my wall art, magnets that included my illustrations, and it's very competitive out there. And you either have to be good with marketing, as we're going to talk about on this episode, or, well, in combination with also being in the right niche. And when I say niche, I don't mean well, this is pretty specific, so specific that it's unfathomable, but you get in this little wedge where you're meeting a certain demand with a lacking, a hole in the market. And so that's where I landed myself, because nobody else, there are very few people that make fake food that you can wear, but opposed from that, I have never found anyone that makes them exactly how I do with this molding and foam process. I either am molding and casting a real piece of food, or I'm figuring out how to make the individuals. So this was not made with a real cupcake. I got cupcake liners, silicone ones, because nothing sticks to silicone when I'm molding. Yeah. And then I filled it with some kind of filler for the bottom, because you don't really see it. And then on top of that, I create a mixture of spackling and paint to make icing that will harden, so that you can get a rigid, you can cast something that's rigid. It's not going to move with the liquid silicone being poured on it. And that's how I do it. There's a special props store in Los Angeles and all across the country. They're a very specific chain called Reynolds Advanced Supply that sells exclusively smooth on materials. Smooth on makes this foam and all of the casting materials, and it's used for movie props. So I ended up being in the right place for both acting and being a DIY prop master. So
That's awesome. Yeah, to look at it, it looks like it's like ceramic. And I mean, seriously, whenever I first noticed it, apparently I'm not that good at noticing things. So I didn't even notice there were cupcakes until he said it, but that's okay. But anyway, whenever I noticed
I was hungry.
it,
I was hungry.
guess,
That's the
but
only reason why.
yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, she got 3 ceramic. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, the image that came to my mind is, you know how you'll see those ladies in Africa that's carrying the big, vase in their head,
Sure.
and they're like with the water. And I'm always like, wow, that chick has got some neck strength. And I was actually thinking the same thing about you. I'm like, damn, that girl's got some neck strength. So,
Well, these are also like a large part of my audience is moms with kids who, the moms are buying this for their Halloween costumes or their dance recitals. So it has to be lightweight. It has to be, kid friendly. They're not going to bash their frenemy at on the playground, with their fake cupcakes. That would be really bad for my business. So they're pretty harmless as long as the babies don't swallow my sprinkles. That would probably be bad.
Yeah, little Jimmy coming home. What happened to you? I got beat up by a cupcake.
That's right.
Yeah, that would probably be a little bad for business. But yeah, I love it. It's great stuff. So let's jump down here. Go ahead, Maccabee, and tell everybody what you do. Just kind of lay the foundation. Then we'll go back to Jess so she can talk about a little bit more about kind of her marketing and all that. We'll just bounce back and forth to keep it from being boring. And Zach and Jeff, you have to talk too.
Oh, geez, I didn't know that. But honestly, Maria, you'll know that those cupcakes and that headgear is definitely Yo Show material. I'm going to be looking you up because I'm going to need stuff. Because as Maria will tell you, I've dressed up as Papa Smurf. I've been Santa Claus.
Fun.
I do all that on my show, and I wore the bunny ears the one time. It was a long story, but we're scheduled to be on Maria's show. I got stuck at a funeral, had to go to in-laws' house. At the last minute, they put on this little kid bunny headset on me. And
Minnie Mouse.
Minnie Mouse.
You look like Easter Bunny, but it wasn't Minnie Mouse.
So yeah, I'm in the headgear. So that's definitely on my radar. Definitely.
I'm gonna jump over while Mac introduces himself, and I'm gonna get some stuff to show you later. Okay, guys? Because why else are we here to look at?
Absolutely, please. Yeah. Please. It's very simple. My job is very simple. I take the insanity that's in my head and I just let it go onto a mic. That is literally what I do. I take all those voices and characters in my head that I use to read books and to just play with my kids, and I just profit from it behind the mic. And that's the joyous thing that I do. The greatest thing that I could ever do is just the way I tell people is I take people's unique stories and I tell the world about them. Because, even though people don't believe that their story is worth telling, I promise you it is worth telling. It doesn't matter how mundane you think it is. There's someone else in the world that's actually going through what you're going through or is entertained by what you do. It doesn't matter if it's, walking around being dressed up as Papa Smurf, or just walking around with Mickey Mouse ears on all the time. It's great because
I have
that's what makes us unique.
You do?
Oh my gosh, those are beautiful. I love them.
Great. I like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jess has just put on donuts that are in the shape like Mickey Mouse donuts, and it's beautiful. They're sprinkled too. Pink sprinkles.
Look at that.
Man, you are really making me hungry today. I haven't had my dinner yet. Gosh.
I've got Mickey Mouse hands if that helps anybody.
Wow.
Look at that.
You know what?
What is the Chef Boyardee? Is that what that is? It kind of looks like that.
Hamburger helper.
They're Mickey Mouse hands, actually.
You know what? Zach, you have the pants or the shoes. We can already just start creating Mickey Mouse all over again here.
I have totes and totes full of props. I
rebranded.
I have all kinds of different masks. I have wigs. I like to do crazy weird stuff, but
it's not weird. It's creative.
Well, it is creative, but in my everyday life, I dress pretty boring usually. I'm surprised I have a color on. Typically, it's black, but I have my Willie Nelson shirt on today.
Nice.
You know what? I've got my Gilmore's Glorious Goods shirt on from Critical Role, one of the greatest shows on the website, on the internet of all time. I love every one of those actors as well.
I've got this. We've discussed this already. I've got this.
Yeah, the 76ers. Yeah. Got it. We're not here for sports. We're here for creativity. Okay.
It's just a Flash shirt. Nothing too
I like
cool.
that, though.
We're all wearing our stars and stripes.
Jeff wanted to know how we got so many cool guests. We're just cool like
Jeff.
that.
I got lucky meeting Maria, so I'll take that. but for me, it is, like I said, I've been very lucky so far in my life, with being able to work with people around the world. I went on, and Jess can claim to this as well, going online, casting calls, and just doing auditions all over the world, all over the place. It's difficult sometimes, and it's hard because you got to put in like 15 different ones to possibly get one if you're lucky. I've been able to actually do voices for a short animated film out of Amsterdam. I work with a young lady in Australia on her scripts just to give her some insight from a characteristic point of view. I've been able to work with a company, Caters Media Group, out of Birmingham, England, where I just finished doing a narrative for their TV series that's going to be coming out called Planet Wild TV. So think of National Geographic meets America's Funniest Videos. And
Nice.
that's literally what it is. And I had so much fun doing it. It's supposed to be airing on TBD, like Tango Bravo Delta .com. And it's also in, if you have TBD as a channel on your TV. Unfortunately, Indiana is not one of those places that carries it, so I have to go online and do it instead. But no, I've been able to do a lot of great things in the short time, and I love doing voices. I love reading people's stories, and one of the great things, and I'm going to put a selfish plug in on this one. I'm working with a company called the Memory Collective here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it is ran by a wonderful young lady named Kara Long. And what she does is she transcribes people's stories for them. So they'll record their story, whatever it may be, and they send it to her, and she will actually transcribe that and put it in a book. She works with local binders in Indianapolis, and they create this book that looks like it's from, the 1800s. And it's beautiful. And one of the things that we're trying to work on right now, and it is we're tentatively calling it the Legacy Project. And what we're doing is we're trying to partner up with various associations around the US, around the world, that deal with memory loss. So we're helping people that are dealing with Alzheimer's, dementia, veterans that are just wanting to tell their stories, because we all know veterans love telling stories. As a veteran myself, I love telling stories, and we don't want those to disappear. So we are also partnering with a company called the Brain Company, and they've created a device that actually goes onto the frontal part of the forehead that actually increases the nerves, the sparks in our frontal cortex. So it actually develops it and keeps those memories that are in there right now concrete. Wow. And trying to use that as a therapy. So with the project, we're working with the Memory Collective. We are taking everybody's stories that she transcribes. And if people want this, by all means, go to her website. It's called the Memory Collective. And what we will do is we're actually going to create mini documentaries for people. And depending on how many stories or how long the stories are, is depending on the price. We're still working in that. We're still in the process of it. But this way, people can use it for a narrative therapy for people.
Wow.
And there's so many things that, as a creative person myself, I know I don't want things to disappear. I'm already getting old enough to where my brain doesn't work anyways. So this way it actually keeps it from disappearing. So
wow. That's awesome.
That's my shameless plug.
Absolutely. That's so interesting. So are you saying that this is a piece of technology, or you're talking about as a metaphor that like the writing keeps it in?
No, there's actually a device that a very, very young, I think he's like 25, but he's a genius to me, honestly. He created device. Yeah. He created a device that is wrapped around in a band, and it just literally just creates allows the nerves in the frontal cortex to actually just increase and develop more and try to repair themselves.
Oh my goodness. We are in the future.
I know,
Yeah.
it's great, isn't it? And I don't know how lucky I was to meet this gentleman and one of his friends. Man, it's wonderful. I just got done literally just a few minutes ago talking to them about it. And we all are just hyped up from the ground up. We're literally wanting to, I always try to picture it for everybody as we are creating the biggest tree in the world that can be seen from three planets beyond us. And you're just seeing all these other stories that have dropped like flowers from this big tree and just created this huge forest of just stories around us. So that's our goal. Our goal is to literally start where we can, get investors to help us to, bring more money into this, because we all know that we want these stories. Everybody's got that grandparent or parent that has one of those great stories that you just want to remember and that you want your grandchildren to remember, your great grandchildren. And sometimes, how we are, we just forget. We've got so many distractions coming our way that we forget about those little things, and it just starts to slowly push everything out. So this way we can actually just, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because I lost my grandparents a few years ago, and I've talked to other people who have lost people like that, and you remember the stories, but I wish I would have recorded them telling them. I wish.
Sure.
And it's a
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But you never think that far ahead though. And I think it's great that you all are doing this because, life isn't infinite, unfortunately. So you have to kind of pre-think those things. And we thought we had a lot of years left with my grandparents, but we didn't. So time's fleeting. I love that you're doing that.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that it's really personal to me. One, I have a cousin in New Jersey who lost his father recently, between just getting sick from COVID and just other health issues. And he was dealing with Alzheimer's as well. So he was taking care of him for a long time. And there was just that tension between them. His dad was just getting upset and frustrated because he couldn't remember how to do the basic things. Even remembering his son's name was difficult. So there was a lot of tension in that relationship, and it just grew and grew and grew. And it's not because he didn't love him. It's just because of what he was dealing with. And he was tired of not being independent anymore. And so that's one reason. The other reason is that probably about 5 years ago. Actually, I'll take back about 6 years ago when I was getting out of the military. I was actually medically retired from the military after doing 9.5 years. And you're welcome. One of the reasons why was because my brain just started to take daily stressors and just couldn't deal with it anymore. And so it created something that's known as, which I think this is one of the most interesting and weird names that they've ever stated this as. It's called psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, or PNES, or penis. So I have penis. It's crazy. I have penis.
And it definitely controls your thoughts. No doubt about
it. Exactly. It's so many ways. Sometimes not in the best way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. I make fun of it because it's the only way that keeps me somewhat sane about it. Because, some of these people have like the coolest diseases. Oh yeah, I've had, this and that, and it's crazy, And then you get me, I was like, what do you got? And I'm like, I got penis.
And you just think it's like funny. I think it's a funny name, and
it is.
And maybe that's how they came up with it. Like what you all said, that you can't control it. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well,
pretty fitting.
Had a little late.
Yeah, I know. But I know it's one of those rabbit holes. Absolutely. But what it
And
does is that
you can't have a little case of it either. You don't want to say I have a little case of
No.
penis. You have a huge case of penis.
Well,
Real big.
let me put it this way. When
Yeah.
when you have muscle spasms, because that's what it creates. It tries to get you out of a situation. So what you get is nothing but muscle spasms. So
Wow.
I remember when I was we were training out in the field one night, and all of a sudden I sat down. I was like, my back, I must have done something to my back, because that's what was happening. I sat down and literally my knee just started to shake, and I started just like I was having Parkinson's almost. And I did that. It was like my knee wanted to join my nose. And that went on for hours.
Wow.
I've had them to where they got so bad. I've had them to where they lasted a full 8 hours straight.
Jesus.
Crazy.
But they can last 8 hours straight, or they can last, a couple of seconds. But it just depends on what the brain, because there's a difference between the brain and the mind, because the mind wants to get out of it. The brain, there's nothing wrong with it. I've had MRIs, I've had CAT scans and everything. They look at you like, oh, you're fine. There's nothing wrong there. Okay. Then you tell me why my knee wants to join my face, or my neck wants to just break itself.
Wow.
And they look at you like, well, it's all in your head. No kid, really? So, but thankfully with medication and therapy, it helps. And I will tell anybody out in the world who's listening, therapy is good. Do not think that it's bad. Do not be ashamed of it. It is good. It is worth it. Trust me. When you can have your sanity, enjoy it while it lasts. But what I say all that to say this. About 5 years ago, I had a blackout. I was just sitting on my couch doing nothing, put my head back, close my eyes. Next thing you know, I'm waking up in my bed, have no clue who I am, have no clue how I got there, have no clue who the heck my family is, and just nothing. And I was like that for like 5 minutes. So I have a huge interest in this, because for somehow, some way, I have a feeling that later on in my life, I'm going to have an issue with it. So
Sure. Of course.
this is the best way to get a head start on it. If I have to be ground zero, I'll be ground zero.
Wow.
So,
And I think that's great. I mean, having that drive and that passion, I mean, overall, I think is what really pushes creatives to do all the things that they do, big and small. Is just that purpose, that drive, and that passion. Real quick, that way I can take this down. Sean said, "What's up, fellow creators?" And I just wanted to
Hi, Sean.
hi, Sean.
What's up, Sean?
So yeah, and I think that's super cool, and I want to find out more about that technology later on for sure. I'm super intrigued. My you pushed my nerd button. I love that kind of stuff.
You know what? That's a great thing. That I think everybody should have a nerd button, because
I've got one right here.
we can see it in the background. We see it in the background with your stuff, with all your
my font goes. Can I share a little creative piece real quick?
Yeah.
Yes.
My wife is a marketing nurse and liaison for Southeastern Home Healthcare. So with COVID, they've been restricted. Usually they go out and they do lunches and breakfast, and they get to know the hospitals, and that's how they gain their patients. So with COVID, she's been trying to do neat little things. She created this little bag. She just brought this downstairs to show me off stage. And in it has a little napkin, of course, a little bottle of Sunny Delight.
Aww.
And this is just for the nursing station for the girls to have a little treat in the morning, a bagel. A little thing of cream cheese, and an energy bar. And she just came with this all by herself. But that's what it is, though, to sell yourself, to market yourself. Oh, and of course, every nurse needs a big heart. So she has a little heart here.
What does she do? You're marketing her badly. What does she do?
Bad husband.
I know, right? She is she's an account liaison and marketing rep for home health care. So basically, I said she goes to the hospitals and gets in good with the nurses, gets to learn the patients, and just, it's a tough racket because it's sales, but it's also about creativity. So they've got to be creative in how to make connections with the hospitals. And this is just one of her neat
That's
little thing.
wonderful.
While we're being creative, I had to show it. Thank you, honey. She's like
That's
embarrassed
great.
now, but she does great. Thank you for letting me show that.
She's bringing
We
a
all
little bit
love
of sunshine to their lives. 'Cause
She absolutely is.
That's how my wife is too. My wife just graduated from school to be a radiation therapist.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And she's been doing it for like 6 months right now. And she has touched so many people's lives. I don't care if I'm going to embarrass the heck out of her because I think I married me. I married up, not down, up.
Oh, same here.
Exactly.
And
It's like,
Funko Pop guy has this very important, intelligent wife. Yeah, I know. Believe it or not.
I'm a Dungeons and Dragons guy here. Come on. I'm going to show you guys. I've got all my minis right here.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
I got
Hey
a
guys,
little bit of minis.
nerddom doesn't only need to be dragons and Funko Pops. I mean, I'm surrounded by fake food. Like
It could be donut hats and stuff like that.
I like that. I have no thanks. So.
what are you talking about? You have
I
700
have a lot of
podcasts,
kids. I have a lot
Maria.
of kids and pros to offer to the world. Much to
Zach's-
a
You
lot of
got a lot of kids though.
Zach's got
I've
good stuff.
been repopulating this earth. I've been busy, okay?
Yeah.
I keep blowing my screen up to
I got
watch
too much-
Zach's stuff.
Man, I got too much stuff. It's annoying here. But Mac, I had a question for you about creative. I know that you do a lot of voiceover work, and you say you have a lot of voices in your head that kind of help that out. I have a two-part question. One, does that lead you to creating something original from yourself? You can go ahead and answer that, and then I'll follow up with my second question.
You're muted, Mac.
There you go.
All right. Yeah. No, for some reason, my transducer
Okay.
had to fall on the ground real quick. So, do the characters help me create things? Yes. Every day of my life. I have a 4-year-old who's about to be 5. So I have to be on top of things. So, I do. And like I said, I'm a Dungeons and Dragons guy. What got me actually into voiceover was watching Critical Role, seeing what they did, sparking, that fire back in me because I grew up in the theater. I grew up singing when I was little, and I still sing every once in a while, mostly in the shower, but I do sing.
We do some very feeble what do we call it? Karaoke amongst these people, amongst indie.
Yeah,
I
indie
hear that.
bands.
We have to, it's one of those things. But
We'll have to invite you next time. It was a good time last time we did it.
please. But yeah, one of the things that I used to do, I used to be a dungeon master for a couple of coworkers when I was working at a pharmaceutical company in Bloomington. And, you have to come up with characters. You have to come up with these different personalities. So it was just a way for me to just, do it behind the mic and still do what I love to do. So, I can do from these like little gremlin voices. So sometimes you just have to have something come around and just enjoy yourself, And then of course you have that nobleman who just really just doesn't care anything about you.
That's the voice I actually think sounds like the king off of Hamilton. Remember I told you that before? I was like, it sounds like the king off of Hamilton.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was. What's so funny was I was actually listening to that earlier today too. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, because my company does a lot of audio dramas, and we have like 15 voice actors that do all of our stuff. And a couple times, like me being the director and the creator, they're like, "Why don't you get in here and do some voices?" And they'll like throw some voices at me, and it's upsetting when I can't come up with the voice. Have you come across a voice job that you haven't been able to pull off, or that you really had to like focus on creating? Yeah. Because I have some problems with voices, and it's annoying to me.
yes, absolutely. There are some jobs out there that I really can't do. I can do like the kitty voices. I can do little monsters here and there. But there are certain things like a lot of jobs that they want you to do. They want you to impersonate other characters. I've been trying to work on the Joker, Mark Hamilton's Joker, for such a long time,
Oh, man.
and I still haven't been able to catch it. I still am not able to do it, so there are a lot of things out there that I still can't do, but that's why I just say, okay, if I can't do those character voices, I'll at least build the ones that I've got now and make them stronger. That way I can do them right on the spot. But while I'm doing that, while I'm still working on those characters, I can still do narrations of people's stories. I can do, TV narrations. I can make up at least personalities for characters for people. If I can't come up with a voice, at least I can say, okay, Jess, give me a character.
Kermit the Frog. Is it like you mean a copyright?
No, just regular. Give me a title. Give me a character title, for instance.
Manny the Robot.
Okay, Manny the Robot. Okay. What does he like to eat?
Bananas from Cuba.
Bananas from Cuba. Okay. So
Nice.
Manny the Robot, who loves eating bananas from Cuba, was created by a gentleman by the name of we'll use Mick right now, since
There's
Mick.
Hey Mick.
Hi, Mick.
Mick, you're great.
Yay.
I'm going to use your name just for the heck of it.
Yeah, great. We love you.
Mick was a storekeeper, and he just really needed help around the area. And he don't give me the down. Come on.
It's Pittsburgh.
In fact, everyone on this panel loves or hates Pittsburgh. Now, that's not actually true. I don't really care either way.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm more of a Colts fan, but I can take the Pittsburgh Steelers at any point. Anyways, so Mick, who owns this banana store in Cuba, more or less, has been having difficulties bringing in customers. So what he does is he creates this little robot just to sit out there as some type of advertisement. And he has all these bananas in his hands. Well, when he goes home at night, the robot's still there, but he's moving a little bit here and there, and he's starting to build up a personality for himself. By the time Mick comes back in the morning, there's no bananas. Where'd they go? Well, you did look at Mick's face. He's still got, banana peel right in his mouth. Why? Because he loves bananas from Cuba. And he's nice, and he loves them. So Mick takes that robot, and he just shows him to the world. Next day, there's a lot of kids around. They're trying to figure out what's going on with this robot. And there you go. And you just go from there. And you just create these little stories about one little character who's a robot named Mick, who loves bananas from Cuba.
Yeah, cool. Okay, my last question, because I want to see more of Jess's fruit. But my last question is, I'm working hard on a couple impressions, and I think I've nailed my Christopher Walken. But the one that I want to do the best is a John Malkovich, and I cannot do. Is there an impression that you're very happy that you can do, and is there an impression that you really want to be able to do?
The impression that I'm really happy I can do. Well, I can do a little bit of a Kermit the Frog. So, hi-ho, this is Kermit the Frog here. But I think my biggest one right now that I am truly wanting to do is just, being able to do the Joker. I can do the laugh, but I can't talk like him.
The Mark Hamill version of the Joker is impossible, because that is possibly the number one voiceover of all time. He's perfect. It's
absolutely
perfect.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if I could actually be able to do that for myself, then I know that can lead to me being able to do other things too.
Sure.
So
Alec Tudyk also does a good job in the Harley Quinn show that's on HBO Max. If anybody checks that out, that show is absolutely amazing, and Alan Tudyk is great. But okay, Jess's food, please. I'm so excited.
Yay!
Yes, show more.
All right. So let's switch it over. Who prefers cake instead of?
Yes,
I love it.
The cake is a killer. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Beautiful.
It's very
It almost reminds me of 20s, like the 20s. I think
Yeah.
it's because it goes
Love
on.
it.
Actually, like they remind me of old naval hats or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, it does
Like
remind me of
nursing
that,
hats. That's what I think of them as.
Yeah.
So
It's
I was
got
and
a
like I
Hunger
said,
Games to it.
you know, these are squishy, so they're very lightweight, you know, and when I put my elastic on them, like I haven't even properly like confirmed it on my head, but you know, it'll stay on there.
That's cool.
what else do we got?
It looks like if the Hunger Games universe had flight attendants.
Oh my
That's what I said. Hunger Games. Yeah, it does look like Hunger Games.
love it.
Dude.
I love it.
Most of my stuff doesn't even have headbands on them right now, but here's
Oh yeah.
There's
there
the
you go.
donut.
this is actually the real donut that I cast. I mean, it's not real. It's still my foam, but as you can see here, I'll get a different one for you. So we have like
Oh
these
my
little
gosh.
ridges.
Yeah.
You can see all this detail that was captured in my silicone that I used. And and again, when you look at my different things, like my pancakes. So this was actually captured from a
French
real
fries.
stack of pancakes. What do you got there? Is that
French
real
fries.
French fries?
They're real. They're real
He's
too.
feeling it.
No, McDonald's French fries are not real food. We all know that.
Well, they're not McDonald's or Wendy's. Come on now.
Oh.
At least
But
they get
yeah.
some type of good one.
My subscribers and I like go on a little adventure constantly because so to explain a little bit more about my show.
What happened? She went into
I thought she was
space.
getting ready to twerk for us. I was like, where is this going exactly?
I was like, wow.
This
That's,
is my show.
I don't know if that
So,
story. I don't know
I'm
if
a
I
Alright.
read that
creative
one.
person to the degree where I have too many interests. Okay.
Oh, that
and
sounds
so-
familiar, Maria.
Right now.
So a little bit of history of Jess Paul. The only reason I'm talking to you today, the only reason that I decided to approach acting, which was a lifelong dream ever since I was little, and thought that's a stupid idea to become an actor. I started a YouTube show when I was 19 years old, when I was in college, and I had my own computer for the first time, discovered all this music that I never knew that I loved because, again, I never had my own computer. So I didn't like have all this accessibility to the internet. And
type of
then
music?
I found YouTube. Go ahead, Matt.
What type of music?
It's a pretty
gotta tell us.
weird niche. So it's in the rock genre, but it's like new pop punk scene. Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco,
Oh,
a
okay,
lot
yeah.
of that
Okay, that's
stuff.
not
Yeah.
bad.
So fueled
I
by
thought you were gonna
ramen
go-
bands, like that's what I would talk about every week. And I found this niche of people, over the years. By the end of 5 years, I had 20K subscribers and was doing like a weekly show talking about all of the updates with these bands. And so it empowered me in so many ways to say, oh, I can do this. I can be an entertainer. I can write my own stuff. I can produce my own stuff. I can create my own show. And like I was born at the perfect time where I literally was given the agency to just take an entertainment career by the horns. And so this time, well, the thing that I couldn't really take for much longer when it came to that show, because I really loved the show, it was called Rect Radio. I was being a bad marketer there, not even saying the name of my show. It was called Rect Radio. And what was getting to me was the repetitiveness, because it was this green screen show, same format every week. We were talking about different stuff, but it was a lot of work and it was really getting to me. So finally, a couple years later, as I was getting into like, let's take this acting thing seriously. Like, I'm not getting any younger. I need to figure this out. I need to either do this or don't. I moved to Los Angeles and I thought to myself, because the show Rect Radio had already been defunct for like half a decade already, or a little less than that, because I wanted to move on to actual acting. And then I thought, Jessica, why aren't you on YouTube? This is like, you can do something else. And so I went to my old original channel that I had since even before that show. And I created This Is Jess Paul. And this is my wheel. I have a wheel.
Oh
this
my
is what the show is about.
That is
And
great.
it's got all of these categories on it. Rect Radio is part of it. I do rec radio every once in a while. I'm so glad I picked glossy stickers, right? And so all of the rest of these things are my other interests. Art and Etsy is where the donuts come in. So if I spin on this, then we're going to be making some kind of fake food for sure, or illustrating or something. Yeah. And so we spin on it. We do something every week. It's a surprise every single week. And it's honestly been one of the best creative outlets when it comes to both this past year and being able to express myself in a way that was fulfilling. It was engaging, but also when you're trying to do this acting career and out in Los Angeles, to put into perspective, I did an episode where I talked about failure. We went deep into the idea of just trying and trying and trying and not getting anywhere. And, a lot of people on here are actors as well. When I moved here and I was doing research on how to get ahead of the market, I eventually saw or heard the figure that I never forgot, that put it into perspective for me. So when you come out here to Los Angeles, you start auditioning, you start answering casting calls, you start submitting for casting calls, and you start auditioning. And if you don't have an agent, which I got an agent end of last year, good timing, when nothing was going on, you are submitting to the public available casting calls. And I learned the figure that all of these projects that I was submitting to every day, especially the ones that actually pay money, because I'm far past like taking free gigs. Like I built my career up to here, up to this point. I'm not taking anything less than, what my Uber fare was going to be there. So I heard the figure that 4,000 other females, 20 to 30, were submitting to a single role that I was submitting to every day. So to make sure you understand what I'm saying, I will submit to something. I possibly will even get to the audition stage or something. And that casting director on the other end of this single role, not a single day of roles, not like this one role, there were 4,000 other people just like me that were submitting for this one role, putting their picture in. So it wasn't even how much talent do I have. It was my picture visibly enticing from amongst 4,000. Imagine 4,000 people in a room. There are some nice big bars that can't even hold that many people. Yep. Imagine a database of people. So it's very competitive out here. And I can speak to the optimism of being in a generation and age where we have, I know a lot of people think about as a negative that we're in the age of internet where there's so much competition and everybody's, against each other. But that's just it. It's the most democratic ladder to fame or success that we could ever have is the internet. If you find people that like what you do, if you're doing it well, that's what gets ahead. You might have a good friend like the olden days that might, boost your name up via social media, or you might get lucky with a viral, but anybody can get lucky with a viral any day, as long as you keep putting them out. So that's a little bit about my background. I don't remember what I was gonna lead that to, but with the YouTube show, when it came to not getting those parts or not getting as many parts as you want to, or not getting the right roles or not knowing the right people, doing this show was the thing that kept me creative and kept me feeling fulfilled. And I was continuing to grow an audience and to put myself out there to build my brand, to even hone my brand, to know exactly what I wanted to do with my brand. That was all part of what I continue to do every day. And that's kind of a little bit what all of this is about. And it's one thing, except for my art, my handles are called Jess Paul Art to separate them a little bit from everything else. But for the most part, I keep everything that I do now under the roof of This is Jess Paul. The YouTube channel is called that. The show is called that. All my social media handles are that. And so that, nobody gets confused and they know where to go.
Yeah. And to add on to what she just said, that's a lot of people just for one role, and that's just for the females alone. If you think about it, obviously there's a lot more males, unfortunately, in that area that are pushing it too. Well,
I always thought it was a massive amount of females.
There's a huge amount of females, yes. But also you got to think about for the males as well. It's insane how many people are going to Los Angeles to do just one thing, especially. Yeah. And that's why being in Indiana and doing voiceover, oh man, really, you got to put another pair of donuts on.
Everybody's
I can't. You're terrible. You know that, right?
Keep going.
I can't. I got chocolate donuts on your head.
Who wants pizza?
Oh God,
I like pizza. I like that one.
I like pizza. Pizza, nice. Actually, I'm getting tired of it because that's literally all my kids want to eat now.
I can eat it every day of the week.
Yeah, I know.
Every day of the week.
But being a voiceover actor and having your own home studio is really helpful. Because it really does help. Because I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, with all those auditions, there's a crap load of people out there that are going right after that same thing, and you know the people that are casting directors are having to go through so many things, so many people just to find that right one, and it's even more difficult, or at least on my point of view, as being a voiceover actor, the male part. Because they want specific accents a lot of times. And if you can't do that accent, if you can't do it perfect, there's no try. You have to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. So for me, I can do a British accent. I'm working on my Cockney accent, but anything else, I don't have a clue on it besides doing a
Cockney accent. I'm so lost.
I'm afraid to ask.
What does that word mean?
Yeah, that's like the trashy British.
Okay.
No, it's not trashy. It's not trashy. That's the working. That's the working man. Yeah, that's a working district.
Jess, sorry. I had two questions for Jess. Yeah, I just thought we were kind of out of time. I did have a couple questions. For Jess.
Go.
You said earlier that you were into acting and directing. Was your art background and your acting/directing background, does that lead you down like a horror path because you make more props, which obviously gears towards a more horror-based style? Or is that making props different than like your art stuff?
Honestly, it's very separate, but it could be related. I've only been doing this stuff with the foam for about a year now. Like I'm still learning as I go, and I wanted to create more of a set in order to sell it to prop shops so that they can then rent some of this stuff out. That's one of the things that I wanted to do. And then I sell, retail. I sell it directly, from offline. I do horror, but it's completely separated from like it was funny that you said that. I'm like, I do horror, but it doesn't have anything to do with the food. And I actually, when I was starting out and getting into filmmaking and acting, which I know I'm sitting here with donuts and stuff, but that's like literally what I'm living to do is to do the acting, the filmmaking. Everything else in my life is some kind of help is some kind of, lifting that up. But when I was starting out, if somebody wanted me on set for anything, I pretty much said yes. So when I was starting out, I actually accumulated an entire portfolio of makeup design, so really crappy, effects,
wow.
No, they weren't good. The thing is, it really is. And I touched on this a little bit, but it's about who you know. And when my friends were looking for a makeup artist, they said, Jess, you do makeup, right? And I said, I do my own. And they're like, great. You want to help us on set for free? And I'm like, if you're going to give me some kind of favor, next time for a movie. And then we ended up making my first feature film. I produced it called Brew House, which was a horror film. But yeah, so technically, yes, that kind of thing did lead me to the actual film. But it was always like filmmaking was always the dream. And then everything else kind of just boosts that up or supports me in that way to live the dream.
Yeah. Now, with your experiences in Hollywood and seeing that you are one of 4,000 people in line for a role,
A single role.
right now, being your clout and your 20K followers and whatever, are you trying to create more projects for the same type of women to make it easier for them to find those roles?
So I came here with not much of an intent to produce stuff. If I wanted to produce stuff, I would. Just give me money. Like it comes down to that. Right now, I feel like I'm at the complete bottom of the barrel. I've only been in Los Angeles for 2 years. Let's just say one, if this one doesn't count, if 2020, can we just like trash it? Like it didn't exist. But I came here with the intent to try to make myself in the traditional market. I already did that in the social media space, and I want to continue to do that. Like for example, the first film that I ever wrote when I was actually also 19 years old. So many things happened that year. Was called Jesse's Girl, and it was at the time when I was in high school. I realized that I was bisexual, but I couldn't really express myself. So once I got to college, it's like free art everywhere, like do whatever you want, Jessica. And so I wrote this film called Jesse's Girl, which, surprise, Jessie is also a girl. And it's a movie that I've always wanted to produce. And I have the pitch packet, I have the pitch deck, and it comes down to kind of interacting in this community and hopefully meeting the right people or continuing to build my own notoriety and brand, so that, like I always thought since the beginning, I don't know about those people who are waiting around to be cast in something or to be valued as a commodity when they're not doing anything to make themselves a commodity outside of their own talent, because we all have talent. We were all the best in our own hometowns until we came to a bigger city and we realized that we were a tiny fish in a gigantic aquarium that we haven't even seen the edges of yet. Or maybe we were born in a fishbowl and now we're in like the Pacific Ocean now that we're in Los Angeles, and all my life, I realized that kind of early, that nobody is going to give me a hand with this stuff. There's no reason they should. I don't blame them, because why would they? Why would they just take the cues from this random girl to say, yes, I'll be great in your movie and I'll sell your movie? No, you have to have the proof of that coming up. When I meet these kinds of people every day on Facebook, that's a whole other conversation that I've been just networking constantly and when I say networking, I mean, don't just friend request people, talk to these people so that you become friends with them. Exactly. Actually follow up with a conversation, share your links, talk about the biz, become an actual contact, not just a name on the list of a face that you forget.
Preach.
But yeah, I meet a lot of people who want but can't give. And every single exchange that you have, whether it's kind, whether it's, it is about just connecting on even a pure and genuine basis. If you want a job, you actually have to be offering something that you can get in return. With a lot of these creative jobs, like nobody's getting paid to sit here today. Like we're all having fun. We're all pushing our brands.
What? Maria, did you lie to me? You lied to me. I'm out. I'm done. Oh, Jeff's gone. He's
but, I mean, that's not the only thing. Literally every single job, including a lot of my very significant features that I was in, I was not paid for. That's just how the creative world works until you earn your worth, until somebody presents something to you and you with complete confidence can name your price and then walk away when it's not met. Like, you learn your value, and your value kind of has to reflect the value that you bring on the outside. So that's kind of what all of this is. I make money from the fake food. I make people smile, and I make a community within my YouTube, but I'm also getting paid by the YouTube partnership program. And I'm also building my brand with the more people that subscribe to it, because I can't do anything else with the time I have on this earth. I feel like I could live 3 lifetimes and not even do all the things that I want to do. That I just need to do is fill my time with all the most valuable things that will only push my brand and my career forward. I don't have time to waste on really anything else, but that's kind of what I've always been about, is just go do some shit so that makes you happy.
You got to hustle. You got to hustle. You got to do what you got to do to survive. And if you're not doing something that you're not happy doing, then don't do it. I did that for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
You know, I let fear of not succeeding in the acting career actually just keep me from doing it. And then of course, obviously 9/11 happened. And I was like, okay, I got to do something a little bit bigger than myself.
Yeah.
So I put my dream on the side. I served my country, and then I got out. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go do logistics because that's what I did in the Army. Okay, I will do that. I went to school. I could not keep up with what they were thinking of. Plus, I was dealing with a new baby. I was dealing with getting a house, and still this whole thing with my brain, my mind not working right. So I had to stop, and I had to go out and just work just to pay the bills and take care of my family. And it wasn't until, like I said, almost 2 years ago that something popped in my head. It's like, hey, you're getting back on the road. Don't let fear do it. I'm going to take care of you. You're going to do fine. Just do it. And I've been letting God do the whole thing for me. And I'm just like sitting back, and you know, that song is Jesus Take the Wheel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm just like, okay, where are we going? Oh, okay. You got me. Okay. I'm just going to stop right here. Okay. Got it. And just get back in the driver and just wait. Because that's the only thing that's helped me. So, yeah,
I mean, I'm at a place in my life where I can say a decade ago and it be a valid part of my life as an adult. Like that's the first time I've been on YouTube for a decade. That's crazy. Yep. And when I talk to, when I think I'm not even going to talk about other people, I'm going to speak for myself. When I think about this past month, actually has been very reflective for me because, in Hollywood, yes, for sure, this transition, but in the December, January time is traditionally where Hollywood kind of takes off and they actually go do family stuff and be themselves. And a lot of the shows that are produced here, they will just kind of stop and go on. And so I always treated my show the same and would do that. And one thing that I've been theorizing about kind of lately is when do we start enjoying our life? For a long time, I thought I'm not going to be happy until I have this life that I've imagined in my head, until I'm an A-lister. And only recently it was kind of coming to mind that I just had a decade of my 20s go by. And I did it right. I don't regret anything that I did. I mean, of course, we're always swirling around with those ideas. Did I do enough? It literally keeps me up at night. I have to get so stoned to fall asleep anymore, guys. And we can spend a whole other hour. But
that's the reason. That's where those donuts are going. That's where all that stuff, all those pasta.
People are going to be in some real turmoil if they try to eat these things. That will be pretty boring.
Colorado, here we come.
I think we've all been that stoned at least one time to try and eat things we shouldn't be eating.
That's right.
No, you know what? I haven't done any drugs. That's the weird thing. But you know what? My roommates were like that. And I just sat there and I was just writing down everything they said. I had so many cool ideas. And then some of the most ridiculous philosophies came out of that too. And you're just looking what did we talk about last night? I was showing what the heck is this? Hey, you're the one who said it, not me. I just write I'm just the entertainment.
Into a book.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's a great book.
But as I was trying to think of my, what I was doing with my life, I really had to sit back and especially this year kind of cut all the things out that I knew weren't really helpful for me. I've maxed out of time, out of hours of the week. So don't ask me to be on any more projects, guys. I don't have the time.
Yes, I got one for you. I wanted to work with you on something.
Oh my God. My mom has all these new business ideas. And I'm like, Mom, you are the one that's sitting, watching Ellen every morning or if she's even on anymore. You can go ahead and do your business idea. I'm maxed out. Before we go, though, I need to show you my best sellers right now. So this one is not the best seller, but this one is one of my new creations. I haven't even put this online yet. Nobody's seen it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a premiere here. Jess Paul is Jess Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, this is her premiere. Thank you very much. Please.
Look at this cutie.
If you guys could only see, but guess what? It's only for us to see.
Can.
Is that also
live.
Is that also a hat?
No, I mean, you know what? I never tried attaching elastic to it. It would be a little bit cumbersome, but
you know
what?
Hey, you know what? They had stuff like that during the 40s and the 50s, so
they have these at England's, coronary events. So.
I wonder if you could put it on like one of those like hats that go over women's heads.
I think it's probably possible. I should try it sometime. But this is actually my bestseller. This little piece of beauty here. Look at my cherry. I know, right?
You are making me like really hungry right now.
Look at that glossy goo that's never going to drip out.
Stop,
Awesome.
Please.
So what do people usually use it for? What do they? I was just curious.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But like I see these on, and I obviously as a like. This whole fake food stuff didn't just come out of nowhere. Like when I was younger, for some reason, I used to collect it because I thought it was so cute. I used to make like little like wax melt lattes and stuff like that to not ever light on fire, but just to have, I guess. And like they're in my room. Like an ex of mine once told me that he was pretty nervous because, when he started coming over my house, he noticed a bowl of cereal on my dresser. And the next time he came over, which was like, I don't know, a week or so later, it was still there, like a half-eaten bowl of cereal until
that's the weed.
I don't know. He finally touched her ass and I'm like, I didn't hear that.
I said it was the weed.
It was the weed.
I did the same thing. If I turn my camera on, there's probably 4 bowls of cereal here right now.
No.
I used to have. I mean, I've got beer, wine, champagne bottles, McDonald's cups. I got it all down here.
I just got bottled water and some French fries and some Dr. Pepper. That's all I got.
Oh yeah.
That I can find right now.
But but I mean, people, I guess they do something called home staging, and it's either just for to make your kitchen look cute, put under like a glass, like little lid that you can see, a little pedestal, or when you're actually selling a house to make it look more homemakery. So I guess and I guess props too. I once sold one. Actually, I sold one of these pies to somebody who was he was a transvestite, and he was doing a show where he was doing Waitress. Waitress is a Broadway show. If you're familiar, and that was actually there's a seller on Etsy who was very proud to say that she, sold all of her pies to Waitress. And so I actually sold it to like a drag show version of one of the Waitress songs, which honestly, that just fits me so well. That's exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't done anything big like that. So, I'll just do the voices.
There's a will.
We have this time. We have this time to keep growing and expanding, and we're on the podcast to to interact with each other and promote ourselves, right?
Absolutely. So speaking of which, go ahead and just let everybody know, you mentioned it earlier, but just a quick overview of where people can reach you and get in touch and follow you. And then Mac, you can do the same.
Okay. For the social media, for me, myself, and my acting and my show, it's right at the bottom here. This is Jess Paul. That's for the YouTube, the Twitter, the Instagram. And then if you want to see some more of these, adorable faux foods.
Oh my God.
This is Harry Potter. This is Harry Potter's birthday cake, if you recognize from the movie.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
And so if you want to check more of that out, it's etsy.com/Jess Paul Art. All the Jess Paul Art stuff, Instagram is under that. And those are the only 2 handles that I really promote. So go to either one of those.
Awesome. Mac.
For me, most of my social media is at MacGriff 909, MacGriff 909. Other than that, you can find me on LinkedIn at Maccabee.Griffin. And then you obviously, my website is going to be obviously with the rest of the information, and my calendar where you guys can actually schedule a time with me. First consult is free. And then what we do is we just get to know each other and see how we can help each other, tell your story to the world. And That's literally all I do.
I love it. And Zach, Jeff, go ahead and tell everybody where they can follow your shows and your stuff, all your creative stuff.
Yeah, you can see everything I'm doing at somenobodies.com. I am the self-proclaimed king of some nobodies. We do weekly shows such as Talking Upstream on IBM TV. We do Twitching Upstream every week on Twitch. We do a whole bunch of weird stuff. If you go to our website, we actually do a couple services as well. We do roast weddings. I'm an ordained minister and I do weddings, but not religious. What I do is I come and I bash your wedding party. I bash your parents. I bash your food.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Me and
Oh
some
my
nobodies.
gosh.
We have 3 ordained ministers on staff, and we are open to do a bunch of roast weddings. We do a whole bunch of weird stuff. Check us out, Some Nobodies, also at patreon.com/Some Nobodies, whole bunch of stuff. Silicon Angels is amazing. Check it out.
Awesome. You can check us out Wednesday nights live. The Yo Show is the name of it. Website is here, www.theyoshow215.com. You can find us on YouTube at The Yo Show, Facebook at The Stoop Radio Network. It's a long story why the name can't change. Check out this past week's episode. It was my co-host birthday. I surprised her with the hilarious Mr. Jamie Kennedy, one of the funniest people you'll ever want to come across. She was surprised, shocked. It was a great episode. A huge shout out, of course, love to my co-host with the mostest, Miss Jewel Tatey. Jewel, I love you always. If you check out the show, she's my partner in crime. She works during the day, so we can't get her on the creatives, but sometime we'll work her in. I'm going to thank you, Maria. Thanks, Zach, again. Jess and Maccabee, pleasure meeting you guys, and I just love being a part of this creative program.
That's awesome. I'd love to have Joel on.
Yeah, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to try to get on Jeff's show or Zach's show. That would be great.
We're all about that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We'll chat about all that. Get all the people on all the shows. Share all the creatives. We'll be doing that. But we better go ahead and get off for now because it's 4:16. So we're gonna go wrap it up. Maria Daniels, Successfully Chaotic, and this show is Talk Creative to Me. So until next week on Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.